Greetings. This moment is not a coincidence. If you're seeing this, it's because it was destined for you, not in the past, not in the future, but right now, in this exact instance. Perhaps you've experienced loss. Maybe you're searching for your purpose, your direction, or grappling with your struggles. You might even be wondering, why is there no response from above? Pay close attention. This isn't just a video, it's a divine signal, not from me, but from the one who formed you and still holds a purpose for your life. Regardless of your past, your errors, or your beliefs, this message is meant for you. In the next few moments, you'll discover why things unraveled, why the quiet was essential, why your suffering wasn't a penalty, and what steps you need to take next. This could be the message that transforms your entire existence. Take a deep breath and open your soul, because sometimes the guidance you've been seeking doesn't roar like a storm, it whispers like this. Part 1: The burden you kept silent. You've been carrying a weight, perhaps for months or even years, a hurt so deep that no one sees because you've mastered the art of acting fine. You put on a smile at work, laugh with friends, but when darkness falls and you're alone, the quiet screams louder than your resilience. Maybe you lost someone dear. Maybe your heart was shattered. Perhaps your ambitions crumbled despite your greatest efforts. Maybe you're exhausted from always being the strong one, while no one checks if you're still holding on inside. You prayed, you wept, you muffled your cries, yet no reply came. You wondered, where are you, God? Maybe you even started to think, I've been abandoned. But here's the truth no one shared: sometimes, God disrupts your plans not to harm you but to shield you. What you were chasing was on the verge of breaking you. You were pursuing people who didn't value you, stepping into spaces that weren't yours, clinging to dreams that didn't belong to you. So, he cleared them away, not as punishment, but because he saw what you couldn't. He saw what was coming. You only saw the now. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still pushing forward. That's proof you're already on the journey. That's why you're here, watching this. You didn't survive this far by chance. He was working while you were hurting. He was shaping you while you were falling apart. He was listening, even in his silence. You thought it was the end, but it was only the start. The pain you thought would ruin you is becoming the foundation for your rise. And let me remind you of something vital. Place God above success, above vengeance, above others' opinions. When God is your priority, everything else aligns, even if it takes time. Maybe you're still scared, afraid of what's ahead, of the unknown, of being overlooked. But let me ask you, when was the future ever certain? We stress over what we can't control, but control was never ours to hold. All we can do is let go, not give up, but surrender. Surrender to God. Surrender your hurt, your expectations, your timeline. Trust that what's meant for you will arrive, in ways you never pictured, through doors you didn't open, at moments you least expect. You're not too late. You're not too damaged. You're not forgotten. You're being forged in the quiet, in the shadows, in the confusion. God doesn't reveal the whole plan because you'd flee from it, not embrace it. Instead, he offers one step at a time. That's not delay, it's love. And right now, he's whispering, trust me. You're closer than you realize. Part 2: Why things didn't work out. There were times you poured your heart into something, worked tirelessly, prayed fervently, did what was right even when it was tough. Yet, it fell apart. The relationship ended. The opportunity slipped away. The healing didn't come. The people you cherished walked away. Deep down, you started questioning, if I gave everything, if I believed so fiercely, why did it collapse? You wondered if God was punishing you, ignoring you, or favoring others while passing you by. Here's the truth, it didn't fail because you weren't enough. It failed because it wasn't your path. It didn't work because it wasn't meant to. What you sought wasn't part of the greater plan. You were knocking on the wrong door, and when it stayed shut, you felt abandoned. But here's a sacred truth, sometimes, unanswered prayers are your greatest shield. You didn't fail, you were protected. That relationship you mourned? You don't know the chaos it might have brought. That job that passed you by? You don't know the trap it could have been. That person who left? You don't know what God saw in their heart. You wept over a shattered plan, but God was crafting a better one in the background. He's not just the God of today, He's the God of your eternity. You see only the moment, He sees the entire journey. When you were weeping, He wasn't silent to hurt you, He was silent to guide you. You can't build a sturdy life on shaky ground. So, He cleared away what was unstable, delayed what wasn't ready, and broke what would have broken you. That's why nothing worked, because something greater was being shaped within you. You wanted change around you, but God wanted transformation inside you. You asked, "Change my circumstances," but God whispered, "Let me change your spirit." The waiting, the confusion, the setbacks, they were all preparation. God doesn't waste pain, He uses it. Your silence built resilience. Your rejection gave you clarity. Your delays gave you depth. Your heartbreak gave you compassion. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared for something bigger, something lasting. Let me say this clearly. You didn't do anything wrong. You gave your all, and it didn't work because it wasn't supposed to. You're not falling behind, you're being guided forward, not by your plans, but by God's. His plan doesn't fail. You asked for a gift, He gave you a lesson, not out of cruelty, but because the lesson will sustain you longer than the gift ever could. Don't dwell on regret. Don't wonder, what if it had worked? It didn't, and that's a blessing in disguise. You were spared from something to be saved for something greater. One day, you'll look back and say, "I'm thankful it didn't happen." Because if it had, you wouldn't be who you are now. You don't need to understand the journey, just trust the hands guiding it. That's faith, not knowing everything, but surrendering to the one who does, who blocked dangers you didn't see and is quietly preparing something extraordinary. Something that doesn't just seem good but feels like home. Something that brings peace, not pain, truth, not confusion, love, not loss. Part 3, the purpose you can't yet see. Let's be real, you want answers. You want signs. You want to know if this pain is leading somewhere or if you're just wasting years waiting for something that might never come. You don't want false hope or empty promises. You want something tangible, a reason to believe you're not just surviving for nothing. Here's a truth you've never heard: God's greatest plans often start in secret. Why? Because if He showed you the full picture, you'd doubt it, sabotage it, or try to rush it. That's why He doesn't explain everything, He prepares you quietly. Think of a seed planted in the earth. Its roots dig deep into the dark soil long before anything shows above ground. For weeks, maybe months, it looks like nothing's happening. Passers-by might say, "There's nothing there." But beneath the surface, something powerful is forming, roots spreading, a foundation taking shape. Then, one day, it breaks through and reaches for the sky. Your life is like that. The reason you don't see results now is because God is strengthening your roots, your resilience, your wisdom. Your capacity to carry what you're praying for. Without roots, success would crush you. You're not stuck, you're being made ready. But you're thinking, how long must I wait? What if it's already too late? Listen closely, faith isn't built in ease, it's built in mystery. If you understood it all, it wouldn't be faith, it would be control. But God doesn't want your control, He wants your trust. Not blind faith, but a mature faith that says, even if I see nothing changing, I believe something is happening. Sometimes, the plan is the process itself. It's not always about reaching a goal, sometimes it's about who you become along the way. Look back at what you once cried over, the people you thought you needed, the failures you thought would end you, the mistakes you thought defined you. You survived. You grew. You learned. Those weren't punishments, they were preparation. God doesn't give you what you want when you want it, He gives it when you're ready to carry it. You weren't ignored, you were being trained. If life feels stagnant, you're in the most critical phase, the in-between, where nothing makes sense, where others don't get you, where you walk alone. That's the sacred space where transformation happens. The quiet seasons aren't empty, they're holy. That's when God does His deepest work in you. Outwardly, nothing may seem different, but inside, you're being refined, strengthened, prepared for something greater. You may not understand it today. The pain may still feel heavy. You may still feel overlooked. But you're not forgotten, you're hidden. Hidden from those who would misuse you, from places that would harm you, from timing that would overwhelm you. You're not behind, you're being positioned for something that demands more strength than you had before. That's why the plan is invisible, it's not complete yet. God doesn't reveal unfinished work. He perfects it in silence and unveils it in power. Don't fear what you can't see. Don't fear the darkness, because that's where stars shine brightest. The unknown is where faith becomes real, and silence is where God works loudest. You asked for clarity, God is giving you something better, a stronger spirit, a deeper soul, a foundation no storm can shake. When it arrives, it won't just be a blessing, it'll be proof that every tear, every delay, every silent night was worth it. Part 4, when life shatters you, it's preparing you. You didn't break because you were weak, you broke because you were being shaped for something stronger. There are moments when everything you thought was solid crumbles. People you loved leave. Plans you worked for collapse. Things you believed would last forever vanish instantly. It doesn't just hurt, it changes you. You stop trusting, stop dreaming, stop believing good things are possible. You ask, why bother trying again if everything just falls apart? In the quiet, you start building walls around your heart, not because you want to, but because you're tired of hurting. You've carried betrayal, walked with disappointment, learned to smile while drowning inside. But here's what the world never told you, life had to break you because soft hearts can't carry heavy purposes. The pain wasn't to destroy you, it was to mold you. You were being sculpted, not slashed. A diamond needs pressure to form. Gold needs fire to shine. Souls need to fall to rise. God wasn't trying to hurt you, He was stripping away what was false, what was weak, what couldn't go with you to the next chapter. You lost people because their love wasn't true. You fell because your foundation wasn't strong. You faced storms because they were the only thing that could purify you. It had to happen, not to tear you down, but to wake you up. You weren't meant for a small life, hiding your light to fit in or depending on people who didn't value you. That's why it all broke, because God couldn't let you build a future on unstable ground. He couldn't let you settle for less than your purpose. It felt cruel, unfair, like everything collapsed at once. But in that moment, when you thought you had nothing, you were being reborn, not just spiritually, but in your core. The old you, the one who begged for love, sought approval, feared solitude, had to break so the real you could emerge. The one who walks in faith, doesn't need validation, and trusts God even when nothing makes sense. Sometimes, the pain lingers. The process feels endless. But that's because something profound is happening within you. You're not just healing, you're rebuilding. Learning to guard your peace, to love yourself without others' approval, to choose growth over ease, to be still yet strong. When life breaks you, you can become bitter or blessed. The pain can close your heart or open your spirit. The choice is yours. If you're here, watching this, your soul might be ready to choose healing. You didn't survive the fire to stay broken. You survived because something in you refused to give up, whispering, "This isn't the end. I'll rise again." You're not perfect or fully healed, but you're here. That means you're not defeated, you're being reshaped. Broken dreams don't mean your purpose is gone, they mean a new direction is beginning. You're gaining strength, vision, patience, discernment, and faith. If life broke you, if people hurt you, if you don't recognize yourself anymore, know this: you're exactly where you need to be, in the heart of transformation. When you rise, you'll be stronger, clearer, calmer, called not by the world but by the one who allowed the breaking to rebuild you without falsehoods. Don't be ashamed of your brokenness, it's your story, your rebirth. The most beautiful souls aren't those who never hurt, they're the ones who hurt and still chose to love again. Part 5. God was always working in the quiet. There's something sacred about silence. It doesn't feel like love or comfort, it feels like abandonment, like no one, not even God, cares. Maybe you've been there recently, praying and hearing nothing, hoping and seeing nothing, holding on as everything slips away. You whispered, "God, where are you? Why is this happening? Why do I feel so alone?" But here's what your pain never revealed: He was always there, not in the noise or the storm, but in the stillness, where faith is born. The greatest miracles are silent. A seed sprouts in quiet. A heart heals in quiet. God moves in quiet. While you were breaking, He was building. While you were losing, He was clearing away what couldn't stay. While you were crying, He was holding every tear, not one was wasted. You thought He forgot you, but He was protecting you from false friends, dangerous paths, and desires that would have harmed you. He didn't say yes because He loved you too much to give you what you weren't ready for. You're stronger now, not because the pain stopped, but because you didn't. You're here, not by chance, but by divine timing. Still breathing, still hoping, still standing, even after everything tried to bury you. You're here to understand this. You were never alone. Even in your darkest moments, when no one reached out, when you had nothing left, God was by your side. He let you fall, but not too far. He let you break, but only to rebuild you without lies. He let you feel lost so you'd stop looking outward and start looking upward. You were relying on things that couldn't save you. Now, you're being called to something greater, not comfort or approval, but purpose. So what now? Now that you see the silence wasn't the end but the beginning, you do what the world fears: you surrender. Not give up, not run away, but surrender your need to control, to understand, your fear of the future, your anger at the past. You place your broken pieces in God's hands and say, "I don't know what's next, but I trust you completely." Then, you start again, quietly, slowly, but with peace. You stop asking when or why. You stop comparing your journey to others. You stop chasing what was never yours. You walk forward, trusting that what's meant for you will find you. And you start walking not with answers, but with faith. Faith that what's for you will not miss you. Faith that closed doors were not rejection but direction. Faith that the silence was not abandonment but protection. And every day you do the only thing you were created for. You put God first. Not success, not relationships, not opinions, but the one who gave you this breath and trusted you to carry this pain for a reason. Because if you're still here, it means your story isn't over. It means the worst day of your life was not the last chapter. I will give you a short story that shows what true faith and trust really look like, even in the middle of a storm. There was once a brave naval officer who had just gotten married. Soon after their wedding, he took his wife along on his first voyage across the ocean. It was her first time at sea. Everything seemed peaceful in the beginning. Blue skies, calm waves, soft winds, but suddenly a violent storm rose over the ocean. The sky turned black. The waves grew taller than the ship itself. Thunder roared, and lightning flashed in every direction. The ship began to toss and shake. Panic spread among everyone on board. Passengers cried out. Some held hands and prayed. But one person was completely calm. The sailor. He stood still, silent, strong, as if the sea was a friend. His wife, terrified, grabbed his arm and cried, "My dear husband, how are you so calm? Don't you see the danger? Aren't you afraid we might die?" The sailor gently looked at her. Then, without saying a word, he took out his sword and placed the sharp blade right at her neck. Her body froze, but her eyes never showed fear. He softly asked, "Are you afraid now?" She smiled through her tears and replied, "No, because I trust you. I know this sword is deadly, but I also know your heart. You would never hurt me." The sailor nodded and whispered, "And that's how I feel about this storm. It may look deadly, but I trust the one who controls it." That's what faith in God truly means. Not the absence of storms, but the presence of peace inside the storm, because you trust the one who is holding your life in his hands. It doesn't matter how dark the sky gets, how loud the thunder roars, how high the waves rise. If you trust God the way that wife trusted her husband, you will not be afraid. Not because the situation is safe, but because his love is stronger than the storm. Hear this. What should you do next? Here are 4 truths to carry forward. Not as tips, but as commands from love itself. 1. Stop fighting your past. Let it go. It's done. You don't need to fix what already fell apart. You need to stand up and walk forward with new eyes, with a healed heart. 2. Focus on your work, not the outcome. Forget about victory or defeat. Concentrate on your duty. Stay faithful in the task, not obsessed with the result. Obedience brings miracles. Discipline invites peace. 3. Surrender your future. It was never yours to control. The future is always uncertain. Then why waste your soul worrying about it? Stay present. Stay faithful. Let God open the doors meant for you in His perfect time. 4. Never forget this. Sometimes God will destroy your plans because He saw they were about to destroy you. Don't cry over broken plans. Celebrate the divine rescue. You've been through enough. You've carried enough. Now it's time to rise. Not with force, not with anger, but with faith. Faith that you are not behind. Faith that nothing you went through was wasted. Faith that every prayer was heard. And faith that something beautiful is on the way. Something written just for you. You may not have seen the full plan, but now you've seen enough to believe. God was working in silence. Not behind your back, but behind the scenes. Not to delay your blessing, but to prepare you to hold it. And when it comes, you'll be ready. Not because you understood everything, but because you walked through the fire and refused to give up. So keep going with peace in your chest, with light in your soul, and with the quiet confidence that God still has a plan for you. If you stay till the end, then this message was meant for you. Not just to watch, but to remind you of something powerful. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. God is still writing your story. And the next chapter will be more beautiful than you ever imagined. He will give you peace that no one can take. He will send blessings you didn't even ask for. And one day soon, He will give you something you never imagined but always deserved. So don't lose hope. Keep going. Keep trusting. And no matter how silent it feels, remember He is closer than ever. I pray that you heal where no one sees. I pray that you are guided when you feel lost. I pray that you receive everything your soul has been waiting for. May God bless you with a peace that doesn't make sense and a future that feels like home. If this video touched you, if it gave you even one answer, one tear, or one breath of peace, then I'm here. Whatever you want to ask me in the comments. I read them. I reply to them. And I'll be here as long as you need. And before you go, just remember this one thing. God is not finished with you.